Beijing's authorities have cancelled New Year celebrations this weekend as a precaution as fears about the spread of a deadly new virus grow. Singapore has just confirmed its first case of the virus. 2 more Chinese cities, meanwhile, have joined Wuhan, where it was first identified, in being put into lockdown. Huanggang and Ezhou, with a combined population of 8.5 million, are 70 kilometres away from Wuhan, where 11 million residents have been told to stay put. Well, the World Health Organization has said such a massive operation to restrict people moving and spreading the disease is unprecedented. They say it's not something they have advised. Official figures now say 25 people have died, 600 more have been infected, most of them in Wuhan.
Wuhan is in virtual lockdown. In this city of 11 million people, you're not allowed to enter any public space without a mask. All public transport has been closed. The last flights in were already half empty. The final train services were also eerily quiet. Normally the Lunar New Year rush would mean you can't get a ticket.
Here we're at the very epicentre of the virus. Maybe it's best not to travel.
I'm confident that our government has the situation well in hand and that the situation will be quickly brought under control.
Now, wherever you look, people are wearing masks, they're lining up to buy more masks, some people are cancelling their trips, and there is a lot of concern. And what's really made people pay attention to this health problem has been the shutdown of Wuhan.
The Wuhan shutdown has made this emergency suddenly very real for people right across China, triggering memories of the 2002 SARS outbreak, which led to more than 600 deaths. Neighbouring cities are also stopping train services, as well as closing bars and restaurants. These drastic measures have been welcomed by the World Health Organization.
The sequencing was done quickly, but more importantly, it was shared immediately. And that's why Korea, Japan, Thailand were able to diagnose the new coronavirus quickly.
In all Chinese cities, medical teams are preparing for an influx of patients with the coronavirus, which causes pneumonia. Staff at this Wuhan hospital isolation ward are worried.
We are worried about our work here and get even more worried when we see the news every day. I always say to others it's okay, as we are well protected. Actually, I was just saying that to keep them calm. We are actually afraid and worried. But as long as we are here, our own sense of duty will help us to do the job.
We are still all young ourselves, so honestly we feel lost and afraid. Our family members are worried too. But as long as we wear the protective clothing, we'll be okay.
Travellers had already left Wuhan before the transport shutdown was in place. With a 5-day incubation period, many may have carried the virus to other cities and countries, not knowing they'd already been infected. And inside a metropolis quarantined from the outside world, medical teams are bracing for this emergency to get much worse before it gets any better.
A short time ago, Stephen McDonnell also sent us this update from Beijing on how the crisis is having an impact across China.
Right across China, this emergency, well, it's touching every community. Here in Beijing, the temple fairs, which are normally a central part of Chinese New Year celebrations and would be very crowded over the coming weekend, called off. From here to Hong Kong, New Year celebrations cancelled, street parades and the like, and that's because the authorities are worried about this going the way of SARS. Now, if you look at the death toll so far, as a percentage, it's not nearly as bad as SARS. But when you consider the raw numbers of people travelling, flights alone, now there are 6 times as many people flying out of China as there were at the time of the SARS outbreak in 2002. And that's why the World Health Organization is set to meet again to decide whether or not to declare this a global emergency.
The virus is now spreading at an alarming rate. The hospitals have been flooding with thousands of patients who wait hours to see a doctor You can imagine their panic. Normally, Wuhan is a great place to live and we're proud of our work, but I'm scared because this is a new virus and the figures are worrying. Well, this story is obviously developing quite fast. There's a lot more about it on our website, including this article answering reader questions, including exactly how the virus spreads and the current advice about travelling to China, which is being updated by many countries.
It's winter again, and that means colds. In fact, adults average 2 to 3 a year. You may even know someone that has a cold right now, so please like and share this video so we can help them feel better. Okay, so the common cold is a mild viral infection of the nose, throat, sinuses, and upper airways. The main symptoms include sore throat, blocked or runny nose, a slight temperature, coughing, and sneezing. It usually goes on its own within a week or two. The bad news is there's no cure for a cold, so definitely don't go to your GP for antibiotics because they're not going to work. But the good news is it is self-limiting, so it will go on its own with plenty of rest, fluids, and eating healthy. But here are some options that I recommend to help you feel better. For sore throats, I always recommend gargling warm, salty water. It's really effective at soothing the throat, and it also helps reduce inflammation. It's reasonably inexpensive, and everyone can do it at home. Just dissolve half a teaspoon of salt in a glass of part-cooled boiled water and gargle. It's important not to swallow the salt water, so it may not be suitable for children. For headaches, temperatures, and even sore throats, you can take over-the-counter painkillers like paracetamol and ibuprofen, and these can both be taken together. Lastly, for adults with a blocked nose, decongestant nasal sprays are effective, but remember, if you use it for more than 3 consecutive days, it can cause something called rebound congestion, and that means your blocked nose will basically get worse. When buying any medicines, please always run it by your pharmacist so they can make sure it's okay for you to take. Hopefully, you won't need to see a GP, but here's when you need to make an appointment. When your symptoms persist for more than 3 weeks, you have breathing difficulties, your symptoms suddenly get worse, you develop complications of a cold, like chest pains or coughing blood-stained mucus. It may also be a good idea to speak to your GP or someone if it concerns your baby, an elderly person, or someone with long-term medical conditions. We've run out of time again, but please see the link below in the description about how to stop the cold from spreading. Taking a few simple steps can make a big difference.
A cold is a viral illness which usually lasts for about 1 week. Cold viruses, such as the rhinovirus and coronavirus, are taken into the body when you breathe them in from the air or when you touch surfaces which have the virus on them and then touch your mouth, nose or eyes. You can also get cold viruses from close or direct contact with someone with the virus, by kissing someone with the virus, for example. The eyes, nose, mouth and airways are all connected. Cold viruses can pass through these tubes and cavities to cause the symptoms of a cold. Cold viruses grow in soft, warm surfaces, such as your nose, throat, sinuses or airways. Infection with a cold virus causes the immune system to produce antibodies which attach to the virus and destroy it. Your body also makes mucus which traps the viruses. You may swallow the viruses, so they're destroyed by the acid in your stomach, or they may be removed when you blow your nose. Excess mucus production causes the symptoms of a blocked nose, sneezing and coughing. You may also have a headache, which may be caused by the pressure in the sinuses blocked with mucus. Your body gradually fights the infection, so you feel better after about a week.
Influenza, or the flu, is a contagious viral infection that attacks your nose, throat, and lungs. It can cause fever, chills, runny nose, sore throat, cough, muscle aches, and fatigue. The flu virus is extremely small and only visible through electron microscopes. Inside the virus, genetic material contains the information to make more copies of the same virus. A protein shell provides a hard, protective enclosure for the genetic material as the virus travels between the people or animals it infects. An outer envelope allows the virus to infect cells by merging with the cell's outer membrane. Projecting from the envelope are spikes of protein molecules. The flu virus uses its H spikes like a key to get inside your cells. N spikes allow copies of the virus to break away from your infected cells to infect more cells. There are 17 known types of H spikes and 9 types of N spikes that scientists use to name different flu viruses, such as the virus H5N1. You get the flu by touching an object that has the flu virus on it, or through exposure to body fluids from people or animals infected with the virus. When an infected person talks, coughs, or sneezes, droplets carrying the influenza virus may land in your mouth or nose and then move into your lungs. Once inside your body, the influenza virus comes into contact with cells in your nose, throat, or lungs. The H spike on the virus inserts into a receptor molecule on your healthy cell membrane, like a key in a lock. This action allows the virus to get inside your cell. Next, the virus travels inside a sac made from your cell membrane to your cell's nucleus. Then, the viral envelope and cell membrane sac combine, allowing the viral genetic material to leave the sac and enter the nucleus. The viral genetic material hijacks the energy and materials in your cell's nucleus to make thousands of copies of itself. Some of the genetic material moves out of the nucleus, then attaches to ribosomes, which are the protein-building parts of your cell. Ribosomes use information from the genetic material to make other viral proteins, such as the H and N spikes. A packaging structure in your cell, called the Golgi apparatus, carries the H and N spikes in vesicles, which merge with your cell's membrane. All the parts needed to create a new virus gather just beneath your cell's membrane. Then a new virus begins to bud off from the cell's membrane. During this process, the newly created virus gets stuck on your cell's membrane when a viral H spike locks on to membrane receptors. However, the virus has a way to get around this problem. The viral N spike frees the virus by cutting it away from the receptor. New influenza viruses are now free to infect more of your cells and cause you to develop the flu. If you have the flu, your doctor may prescribe oseltamivir, which you would take orally, or zanamivir, which you would take using an inhaler, to help speed your recovery or reduce your risk for complications. These antiviral drugs stop the influenza virus by blocking the viral N spike from freeing the virus. This causes the new viruses to stick to the surface of your cell, so they cannot escape and infect more of your cells. The best way to protect yourself from the flu is to get the flu vaccine every year. You may receive the vaccine as a shot, which contains dead versions of several types of the virus. Or you may receive it as a nasal spray, which contains several types of live but very weak forms of the virus. The vaccine exposes your body to several types of the influenza virus that are too weak to cause infection, but just strong enough to stimulate an immune response. Within 2 weeks, cells in your immune system make markers called antibodies, which are specific for only the types of flu you were exposed to. The antibodies attach to each flu virus and prevent it from attaching to your cells. Antibodies are also able to attach to more than one flu virus, which causes viruses to clump together. Your immune system responds to signals from the antibodies by engulfing and destroying the clumps of viruses. Later, if you are exposed to these types of flu again, your body recognizes and destroys them, so you will not develop the flu from these same viruses. For continued protection against new flu viruses, you will need to get a flu vaccine every year.
For continued protection against new flu viruses, You will need to get a flu vaccine every year